Good morning. August 6th on a Saturday morning, 11:02 a.m. Welcome. Completion story. Welcome. Yep, audio confirmed. And I had a note to myself to check audio levels. I've been thinking that I need to bump it up just a bit. So here I'm bumping up just a bit. Do I get to see that red indicator? If it's too high, it's there. It's just bouncing into the yellow. Go up a little bit higher, and now I'm partway through the yellow at some times, and I've heard other people say they like to get to where they're bouncing occasionally into the red. There it is. Oh, that's still that's getting partway through the yellow. So I'm going to go with that for now. I've been thinking my audio is just a little bit low. All right, I've got Zoom open, but the waiting room is enabled right now. You can come into the waiting room and hang out there for a little bit if you choose to. I'm gonna go catch up with chat. I know there's been some activity in chat, so here's the live stream. Today is completion story of restoring backup image to different computer. Live stream August 6th. And over here in chat, let's start with over here, because this gets a little bit earlier, I think. First person in chat, congratulations, Ken Stout Live. That looks like about, I think I started at about a little bit after 9. And hello to Boss. Tony Wallow comes in with a $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much, Tony. And we got Tony and Ken and Boss, BH Ringer, Darren Gilholm. Well, it's the chit chat going back and forth between them. Let's see, seeing if they're saying anything to me. Parker Morse, hello to you. And chit chat between those. Chris Garrett shows up. And there's BH Ringer specifically giving me an orange hello, and Greg Guy and Jonathan giving me the orange. And hellos back and forth. Jonathan again. Whoops. Scroll down a little bit there. Greg Guy. Ran Israel. Hello to you as well. Sam Lazar. Let's see, I guess I can look now. I can't look over there because it's too small. So I'm going to go, let's see, that's right at 11:01. Greg Guy is giving, BH Ringer is giving his weather. I think I've seen some weather interchanges between people. Iowa Hank, Selden Bell, Rick Lakes, Zavi Manor, Speedy C, Ran Israel. And let's come over to this one and pop out chat. Let's see. This one does have, it did have the beginnings. All right. And I think I need to refresh this before I get the live chat continuing on here. Is that right or not? So there's Rick Lakes. Yeah, no, that's coming in live. All right. So I think I'm all caught up there. Good morning to everybody. So today's topic, the completion story of restoring backup image. Oh my gosh, this is so simple yet so complicated to tell the story and all the interesting tweaks that happened. And there was a major interruption in being able to present the story. I was trying to edit it, the video that I had recorded in Adobe Premiere, and it kept failing. And I talked about that in a recent Windows Daily, and what I was going to do for the troubleshooting. I said I was going to chop it down to where it's just a couple of minutes in the problem section. Well, before I did that, I tried a couple other things, because I found some search results saying that you should, I need to put my headset on. And I didn't actually notice an AVDW check. So I better take care of that business before I keep chattering away. There's going to be a little headset. And now it's back, because I neglected to put my headset on. Yeah, Tony says AVWD are good. And well, W is the watch. But you know, I think I'm going to keep it on and maybe get rid of the W in that piece. So is there any point? I guess there is a point here. Yeah. This description that I put in here, this is the story and video and conversation, how I resolved the troubles encountered with restoring a backup image from Baby Beast to HP all-in-one 34-inch curved monitor computer. The problem turned out to be a simple glitch, which is easy to fix and easier to avoid, but it took a while to figure it out. There are many interesting lessons here. I don't think I'm going to be able to cover them all because I can't even find them all within, well, it's going to take a while to find them all. That's why I really wanted to do an edited video there, but that was going to take a long time to do, and it just wouldn't work. I'm about to tell you why that wouldn't work. There are some unanswered mysteries as to how this happened. Maybe participants and or viewers will have some suggestions about those mysteries. I will definitely continue using this procedure when beneficial, meaning the procedure of restoring an image to a different computer, because the end result, the end conclusion of all this, that it would have worked absolutely fine if I would have just taken this one precaution. And I'm not telling you what that precaution is yet. Okay, where to start? Well, I want to start with explaining why the video wouldn't work, the video editing wouldn't work, and then I'm going to bring people in from Zoom. This Big Beast build has 250 gigabytes of RAM. I have experienced using all of it. Let me show you this photo I took. Here you go, right here. 99% memory in use, right there. Adobe Premiere using 244 gigabytes of memory. Ouch. Well, that only happens when Adobe Premiere encounters a problem. And I haven't even looked to see, I believe I got a photo of this problem, and I'm going to try to bring it up here. I'm getting back to my iCloud photos here, and I think I captured that error message. Oh yeah, here, well, this is the full error log, so let me show you this. These were errors encountered when trying to edit the main body of video that I have for this. Now I can play this video, and I'm going to play some parts of this video for you during this live stream. But when I try editing it, I can get in there and edit it, but then when I try to render it, I get all this stuff: frame substitution, recursion attempt, aborting after multiple attempts, and then error retrieving frame, all these frame errors. And notice this is all at 16:05:04. So this was all within a second. And here's a scroll bar. It just scrolls down. We're seeing less than half of it, but it gave up. It quit. And that's, I think, because it ran out of memory. As these errors were adding up, as they were climbing, I could watch that. Memory utilization climb, and I think I can actually demonstrate that here because it's kind of, yeah. Here we go. Here's some sequential photos. Here's showing Adobe Premiere at 167 gigabytes, and up here at the top it shows that's 431:11. So at the 11th second, press the right arrow key. I think that'll go there. Here's 1 second later, 174:194. And you could also look at the percentage. Going back to the previous picture, that was 66%. Right arrow, 68%. And then the next second is 14th second. I got 70% memory. The next one is at the 15th second, 72% memory. The 17th second, 74%. And then I'm just going to, let's see, here's the 35th second at 95%. So as these errors were accumulating, the memory just filled up rapidly. So there. Doug, do you ever use 256 gigabytes of memory? Yes, I have. Wasn't productive use, but yes, I have. If I had less memory, it probably would have aborted sooner. Go hit up in chat real quick, make sure everything's going okay. In the waiting room, yeah, we're going to bring in the waiting room in just a moment here. So what in all the chopping down of that video, when I stripped it down to just a 2-minute section, I got the same problem. So there's something about that original video that Adobe Premiere just can't deal with, but I can play it fine. Okay. That's, I think, going to do it for introduction. I'm going to go ahead and bring people in on Zoom. So here's your 10-15 second warning. I'm about to bring you in on Zoom. So be prepared to mute your YouTube audio, please. If you have it, it will fill, Iowa Hank. Yes, if you have the memory, it will fill up. Contact Adobe. I don't care enough about fixing that video, so no, I'm not going to. I have a paid version of it, so I could, but no, I'm not. And I don't think I'm going to. Let's see. So it's just Jeff. Where is the admit all button? Why am I not seeing the admit all button? Invite, mute, waiting room 1. What am I missing here? All right, well, I don't need to admit all because there's only one person there. Maybe that's why I don't see an admit all button, because there's only one person there. And let's bring him up and fix my picture in picture and slide that down here. I was intending to get my other buttons set up so that I could do this slicker, but it's been busy. Hello, Jeff Ryman.
Good morning. Lonely in the waiting room.
Yeah, sorry about that. I don't have music like one of those big, powerful channels like Ken Stout Live.
Well, I don't usually listen to his music. Hope Ken's not listening.
How do you not listen to the music when you're in the waiting room?
You have to switch on the sound in the waiting room.
Oh, okay. So as long as you don't switch on the sound, you're okay. All right. Well, Ken Stout did show up as first in the chat, but I think he's somewhere along the line. He said he was going to be in and out, but doing other things. So Jeff, I was trying to figure out. I even got a list of timestamps. That's not going to focus, but actually, I've got that on several post-it notes, and it just is it's messy to go through all of it. So I was thinking maybe what I could do is just give a verbal description, and maybe I think there's certain pieces that are worth showing, because if I show all of the interesting technical things I encountered along the way, it's just going to muddle it up with a lot of confusion, because the actual bottom line answer is pretty darn simple. What's your vote?
I'm surprised that restoring to other hardware ever works at all, actually.
Yeah, it looks really good.
That would be a hard thing to get all the drivers and all that stuff.
Well, Windows is designed to automatically, load drivers when you change hardware or add hardware. So it looks to me like it ought to work. Turn this off.
No.
There's Greg with the usual, not quite muted yet on YouTube.
You've got a spinning circle on YouTube.
Okay, let's go check on that. And I'm going to turn off the waiting room. So I'll go back. Let's see. Does my somebody else coming in?
Ooh, green.
Oh, he's got a green screen.
Gotta be Ken.
I'll be Ken. Yeah. Gotta find where is my. All right. I'm seeing live. Yep. I'm showing live on my monitoring tab. All right. So.
Yep.
If that spinning circle was there. It was either brief or maybe it was just you. Did anyone else in chat report spinning circle? No. Let's see. All we got here is morning LOL. If you have it, it will fill. Jim, the world is safe another week since I'm late again, about 15 minutes behind in DVR mode. If anybody's wondering, I will be keeping DVR mode. I like DVR mode very much. Hello, Ken.
Hi, Doug.
Hello, Greg.
Good morning or afternoon.
Afternoon for you, I'm sure.
I got up a couple hours ago.
All right. Well, I guess you might still call it morning for a while, even though the clock says it's afternoon for you.
Yeah, this is the first time since you did the videos for my reinstall March 2021.
This is the first time what? That you
I've joined Zoom with you.
Oh, I didn't realize it. I guess that's because I seen you so much on Ken's. I didn't realize you've been absent from mine. Good. Welcome.
I watch the YouTube a lot.
Yeah. Great. Well, glad to have you back. And I kind of recently realized I don't think I've had Zavi Minor in Zoom for a while either, I think. And then here's a couple others. Let's see. Zavi is answering no for something. I think it was about no. Maybe it was no for me giving the short answer or no for doing the video. I don't know what he means for no.
Oh, maybe about the spinning circle.
Oh, it might be the spinning circle. Yeah, I don't know what that no is in reference to. Sam Lazar says, good morning. It's 4:18 Melbourne, Australia. Well, I don't know if that's AM or PM. I think it's pretty sure it's PM. No, Australia, that's too far away to be PM. Is that AM? He's saying morning. Yeah, that must be morning for him. Of course, I don't have the clocks to answer that question. The Ken Stout live clocks. All right. And Sam says it's AM.
Yeah, 0400.
Yeah.
Oh, you military
European.
guys.
Yep.
European clock.
0400 European clock, as in that's different than 0400 US.
1600 would be 4 in the afternoon. 0400 is 400 in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I had to deal with that stuff in with 24-hour clock on in my aviation pursuits because we did everything. Although we called it Zulu time. We would report Zulu time rather than reporting local time.
That's what the military does too.
Now, all right. Photomix Media, hello, Jose. Waiting to see if I get a reply. Cricket.
10 seconds.
A Doug moment.
Yeah. If 10 seconds comes out once in a while through this Zoom, I will explain to the people watching the video that's an inside joke that would be experienced on the Ken Stout live show, triggering off of one of my Windows Daily where I advance video by 10 seconds. They just kind of harassed me about that.
Live from Jose.
Oh, Jose's unmuted now. Hello, Jose. You listen really, really close. You won't hear him.
Greetings.
There he is. That must be the time delay that it takes for the electrical signals to travel from where he is to here. Oh, we even have video. Hello, Jose. There's
All 35 miles.
Yeah, 35 miles. 35 miles from who? Oh, he's in California. Are you in California, Jose?
Yeah.
Yes, I am. I'm like about 90 minutes north of you.
All right, north. Yeah. I vaguely recollected that from somewhere in the past. Even north of Madeira, aren't you?
Yes, north of Fresno. At Modesto.
Modesto, sure. Very good. All right. So now I'm figuring out how The story is so simple. Okay, first let's start with restoring the backup image, the Macrium Reflect backup image to the HP all-in-one. It works completely smooth. I haven't even yet changed the name of the computer. It hasn't given me an objection to that. But disclaimer, I haven't actually used it as a working computer yet. I took it up to the cabin with me, intending to use it from there. Didn't get to do that because I forgot the keyboard and mouse. And I need to actually use it here 1 or 2 days and actually use it as a working computer and make sure all that stuff works. But from my previous experience with restoring an image to a different computer, when it fails, it's typically seen in booting up or trying to run the programs. And I have gotten that far. I have launched the programs. So I think in the last Windows Daily, see, it's a little confusing for me to even realize what you've seen and what you haven't, because I have so much video footage that you haven't seen. But my recollection in one of the Windows Daily, you saw that we had booting problems, or it took so long to boot, and then we discovered it was actually booting off of the spinning hard drive, not off of the NVMe. And in BIOS, it wouldn't even see the NVMe drive. But there was a prior Windows Daily where we were in BIOS and we did see the NVMe drive. And I have a timestamp here on this video that I could show for that, but if I try showing all the things that I'm describing, it's just going to take a really long time. So we had it showing in BIOS. There was a question at one point, did the image that restored, was it a MBR image, legacy image? And no, it wasn't. And I have the video image of that, and that video was on one of the Windows dailies where we were in the Macrium Reflect restore operation, and the image that we were restoring actually identified itself as GPT. So that's a UEFI image. There was a instance where I had restored just the C drive from the backup image, and I have done that before successfully, but that piece is in question whether it caused an issue. But the images that I restored were GPT, UEFI. There was a point in BIOS where we saw the M.2 and the SATA drive showing in a legacy part of the menu for drive configuration, but the UEFI portion didn't actually show those drives at all. And then when I turned off legacy mode, we no longer could see the M.2 in BIOS. When I turn legacy mode back on, it's visible there. But the image restored to both of the drives was UEFI because it was originally UEFI. When I restored the entire backup image with all the partitions, it went to the spinning drive, not to the UEFI, not to the M.2 drive, because it appears that BIOS had at that point decided to block access to that drive. And I couldn't see any explanation for it. So what I did, and I have the video of it, is I did an update to BIOS. The BIOS that was on the computer was one of the oldest BIOS. And I have seen many times HP automatically update BIOS. Well, now I'm of the theory that that only happens once the BIOS is up to a certain level. I think if the BIOS is too old, that Windows Update won't update the BIOS within a Windows Update operation. So I had to manually update the BIOS. But, okay, so once I did that, then, and here's, I tell you what, I could study the videos on this to get this better nailed down. But my recollection, and I feel pretty accurate about this, is that I got booted into Windows on the spinning hard drive and went into disk management. And I could see both the spinning SATA drive and the M.2 drive. But the M.2 drive said something to the effect of not accessible, not available, something to that effect. And then when I go click on it, try to access it, it gave me a message that it's not available due to signature conflict, drive signature conflict. Now, I didn't go study up on that and research it. Some of you either in Zoom or in chat may know more about drive signature conflict, but I deduced that to mean that perhaps the image got restored to both of the drives that were in the computer, and since the spinning drive is seen first by BIOS, that it saw the same drive signature on the M.2 drive and then decided to make it not available. So in order to fix that, I went to a DOS command prompt, used diskpart to clean that disk. That wipes out everything that's on that disk. Then I was able to go back into disk management, initialize that disk, and then I could format it or do whatever I wanted to do with it. Then I was able to restore the image to that M.2 drive, and the computer booted fine off of it. I think I've included everything there about that fix, not the other interesting things along the way. There was a little bit of a challenge with the BIOS update, but let's just stick to the story of fixing that. So now I've been giving this little teaser once in a while about one simple thing that I could have done to prevent this. Does anybody want to? I'll give you a minute to come up with that, either in Zoom or in chat. What was the one thing I could have done that would prevent all this, except not try it at all? That wasn't going to fly with me. Carrie Holzman has preached this a few times.
Well, oddly enough, I was going to say call Carrie.
No. I mean, he probably would have come up with the same thing, but and it's something that I thought that I was smart enough of a technician to not need to do that. And now I'm saying, nah, not so much. I can punch over here to chat and see what's going on. Scroll up to my last here. Let's see, when I'm seeing @ symbols to somebody else, I figured that is. Now, Rand asked, when did this happen? I didn't see that on Tuesday. I don't know what this you're referring to, Rand. And so you are typing that in relation to something I was saying at the moment, but I'm not going to see your comment at the moment. So you have to be a little more specific. Because there was Monday and Tuesday had content about this computer, as well as last Saturday. Hellos, chit chat. Do you want to, when it comes to computers, one BIOS and the other UEFI, vice versa. Intel guy, so I did not try this out. That's chit chat back and forth between them. I don't know if they're talking about my subject or something else. Most of my clients have Intel laptops, AMD laptops. I'm not sure why you addressed that to me, because it's not on this topic, I don't think. Disconnect. There it is. That's it, Ryan. Disconnect the spinning hard drive. If I would have done that at the beginning of this, I never would have restored the image to the wrong drive. We wouldn't have been booting from the spinning drive and wondering why it was taking so long to do that. And I never would have had the conflict of drive signatures. Now, as I'm thinking back on that, my mind is blown that I could have possibly, in Macrium Reflect, restored to the spinning drive, because I'm very careful when I'm in Macrium Reflect about verifying, because it shows very clearly what I'm restoring from and what I'm restoring to. So for it to be a destination of that spinning drive, I'm just blown away that could have got past me, except that on those days, Monday and Tuesday, a lot of that work that I was doing here where I just need to start a process and I go back to my work is I may have been distracted mentally and not looked closely. That's what the evidence says, that I restored that image to the spinning drive. I think that was on Monday. And then Tuesday, I demonstrated the reboot, and that's when we discovered we eventually realized that it was running on the spinning drive, and we couldn't even see the M.2 drive. Going back to chat. Remove the other drive, yes. Reload Windows on the computer. Yeah, that wouldn't have been the simple thing, because I actually did do that before restoring the image, and it was booting on the M.2 drive. There was no question of that. It was such a fast boot. We saw that, and I think people even commented on how fast it was booting. Install new OS in the computer, then restore the C partition. Well, actually, that's what I did. I had installed fresh Windows 10 and then restored the C partition. Yeah, in fact, that is exactly what I did. Because I installed fresh Windows 10 on it, and I think I began that at the end of last Saturday's session. And then on the beginning of Monday, I explained that that was successful. It booted to that, and then on Monday morning, I explained that I restored from Macrim Reflect, and I just did that C drive partition and restored it. And that's when we had that slow startup. And I'm thinking that it must be the case that I restored that to the spinning drive by mistake. Or another possibility, I didn't record all the activity during that day because I was doing other work. The other possibility, I seem to remember having to do that restore operation twice. I can't say why that was. And so I'm wondering if I restored it once, something didn't work right, I restored again and wound up restoring to the spinning drive. When did you realize that the M.2 wasn't detected and that you restored to the HDD? I realized that during the Tuesday Windows Daily, and you all were with me when we discovered that. And that's when we noticed it was taking so long to start up. And during that live stream on Tuesday, we realized that it was the spinning drive and we could not even see the M.2 drive. Hellos, isn't getting the drive cable a pain because it's inside the panel? Well, on Tuesday, during the live stream, I actually lifted the display panel up, reached in, and I showed it with the camera, and I disconnected the wire. That is in Tuesday's live stream showing that. And it was not too big of a pain because I had only put in, well, at that point, 4 screws on the display panel. Previously, during Saturday's stream, I only did 2 screws. Hello to Catherine Anna Hauserman. Oh, scroll there. Let's see. Where'd I go? Oh, here. Yeah, hello, Catherine. Hello's, Ran, or at the very least, make sure the drive you want to install is 100% clean, no partitions, and the other drive has partitions. That speaks to my double checking when I'm in Macrim Reflect and choosing the destination. It's very clear to me how to choose the correct destination. I know that well, but you guys know me well enough to understand that if I'm distracted with something else I'm working on for a client and I just turn to here to do something, it's quite believable that I made that mistake at some point. Or the other possibility, at what point in time did the computer, probably at BIOS level, decide that the M.2 drive was not visible or not allowed to be accessible? Because there was at one point in time where we couldn't even see the Oh, yes. I don't think you saw this, but I saw this. There was a point in time when I couldn't see the M.2 in BIOS. That was before doing the BIOS update. When I did the BIOS update, I could see the M.2 at the BIOS level. Now, at that point in time, I thought that might have had to do with the version of the BIOS, that somehow it wasn't able to see that M.2 drive. However, I don't fully accept that because on Saturday, we did see it in BIOS, and I verified that on the Saturday live stream. It in BIOS, and I verified. Somebody came in and they've got their audio muted now. All right.
It's me. I'm having internet problems.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it looked like your frame was lit up. I said, wait a minute, Jeff's already been here. So I guess you dropped out and came back in?
Yeah, my internet crashed.
All right. Let's see if the Zoom, yeah, now that you came back, the Zoom windows are lined up okay. But I'm going to come back. I'm going to come back to me here, going through chat. 100% clean, no partitions. The other drive has partitions. Yeah, I don't feel that I need that piece. Yes, I thought it was spinning rust. It was on. Yes, Catherine, I think, was the first to notice that on, was that Monday, Tuesday, whenever it was. Hellos back and forth, jumping around. Jeff, internet problems. Hellos, doing good. Josh, I'm doing good. Will you please come back on my YouTube channel? Oh, to Sam. Love to have you in chat. If I work on more than one computer at once, I will screw up at some point. Yeah, Speedy C, never mind, Doug. You should blame one of the other Dougs for the computer problems. I do. It was his fault. He's over there in the other room in the doghouse. Caught up on chat. Let's see. Did somebody else? Oh, Gary came in. Hello, Gary. Hello, Gary. I saw him on mute. Not hearing you, Gary. All right. He needs me on mute again, so I'm gonna come back to that later. Wintermute, if disk ID was same, possible that Macrium confused them, displayed M.2, then you restore to HDD. Yeah, I'm thinking I actually did the restore operation to both of them and did not realize that. I saw some. Oh, there he is. Hello, Gary.
Hello.
How are you doing? Yep. I can hear you now.
Yeah, I switched to a different one earlier on something else I was doing.
All right.
How are you guys today?
I'm good, thank you.
Just got on, so let's see what you're doing.
All right, so you're not caught up with what we're doing, where we're at yet?
All
right.
Do it.
Well, you're just going to have to listen for a while, and I think you'll figure it out as I continue describing this. But you've missed substantial background story, but I think you'll catch up.
Yep.
All right, then that's Sam to Josh, and then okay, so we're good, caught up there. All right, so bottom line lesson. Gary Holzman's frequent admonitions: only have one drive connected. When you install Windows, restoring, doing anything like that, and if I've got the computer partially assembled, disassembled to the point that I can get in there and disconnect it, that's an easy thing to do. But when the computer is all put together, no, not so much. But I had it disassembled sufficiently. I could have done that. I just thought I knew what I was doing well enough that I didn't need to do that. And I still want to think that, but I spent a lot of time on this that did not need to happen and would not have happened had I disconnected that. Now, had I disconnected that just because of a routine strategy, philosophy, rule, I wouldn't have had the problem. I would not have realized that I just saved myself a whole bunch of hassle. And that's true in every manner of life. Every time you do anything safety related or caution related, or you don't know what would happen if you would have taken the other path. So if I had disconnected that drive, I wouldn't have any clue whether that actually saved me from a bunch of trouble or not. But having this lesson, does next time that I have the opportunity to disconnect secondary drives, will I do it? I hope so. I think so. I think this lesson was painful enough that I'll do it. Do I trust myself for that? Well, a little shaky there. I don't know. If I'm doing it on a live stream, yeah, I'll probably do it. If I'm doing it, nobody's watching, will I disconnect the secondary drives? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, somebody else come in. And we'll get over to you in a moment. Catherine, yes, Carrie repeats that all the time. Just the Windows NVMe connected. Yeah, that would have saved all of this hassle. So let's go in here and fix things and figure out who came in. It looks like it was Jim. Hello, Jim.
I do.
How are you?
So what you're telling me is that you handed yourself your own ass on this one.
I did.
Been there.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, but not because of restoring to different computer. That looks so far like it's okay. But yeah, like I said, I haven't tested that out sufficiently to really conclude that. But at the moment, it looks okay. And I'm kind of really hoping that, because I dropped the hint the other day on a Windows Daily that I'm probably going to be getting a new laptop, and I'm quite intrigued about that laptop that you assemble it, or framework. Yeah, the framework laptop.
Oh yeah.
I seriously think I might do that. I actually went through and configured pricing for it and compared it just at a rough level to comparable HP. Oh, and I also compared it to their pre-built, because you can buy a pre-built from Framework, or you can buy it as a kit that you assemble yourself. And it looked to me like the kit that you assemble yourself came out pretty close to the same price, but you had a little more granular control over the configuration of what components. So then I was thinking, do I want a high-end laptop that I could live stream with and edit videos? Or do I want the low-end laptop that I can carry with me into clients' offices, and all I care about is getting into my Google Chrome and my OneDrive and my Microsoft products, and not doing live streams and such. So the jury's still out on that. If this computer works for me at the cabin for live streaming, then I think the laptop will probably be a low end, because this would be a lot nicer for doing live streamings. So hello, Catherine.
Hello, Doc. Hello, everyone.
Nice to have you in with us today.
Thank you for that I can be here, because last time I caught you was always at the very end, so you were just waiting.
Okay. Yeah, and that was a long. Were you at the end of a Windows Daily or last Saturday?
Yes.
Yeah, Windows Daily. Yeah. Well, during Windows Daily, I don't have a Zoom running anyway, so couldn't come in there. But I do recall seeing you on in the chat room. So, how are your cats, Catherine?
They are all very well.
Good.
Really, they're very well. I even got Sam, the difficult one. I got her vaccinated again with her booster vaccine, because last year she refused outright, like to even thinking of going into the transport cage. Yes.
Yeah.
So this year I managed because I had someone staying with me for like 3 weeks, and he was able to, well, to put her in the cage. Yes.
Ah.
So
So the challenge is getting her into the cage.
yes,
Yeah.
because she is an ex-feral, so she
Oh.
lived for 1.5 years. She lived on the streets, and people were mean to her, and like she had all the bad things that can happen to her. She probably had it happen to her. So, but now she lives with me, and I try to get her, well, vaccinated yearly, but with her it's difficult, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because
So do they actually vaccinate her while she's still in the cage?
I don't know how they
Oh.
exactly did it, but
Okay.
they managed. I told him, please give her all her vaccines. Yes. And I said to the guy, to the vet, look, I cannot repeat this. Yes. And then she came home and she only had 2 vaccines out of 3. Yes,
Yeah.
because cats need 3. Cats need triple.
Yeah.
So that's the triple vaccination for 3 illnesses. Then
Yeah.
they need the rabies, and they need the leukemia. Yes, and that's the absolute minimum that you give to a cat. Yes. So
Yeah.
she came home, she only had 2, so then we had to repeat the going into the cage with a lot of well, coaxing,
Yeah.
so she had to go back. But I spoke to him in person, and he looked at me. I was in front of him, so he looked at me. He knew that I am a wheelchair user, and
Yeah.
I told him, look, I cannot repeat this, because he wanted to do it like a week later, and I said, no, I will not have it. She needs to have it now, basically, yeah. Because they had to anesthetize her to give her the vaccines because she's wild. Yes. She's
Yeah.
7. Yes. So
All right. Well, glad to hear they're good now.
yeah, they're all good. They're all good. And,
All right.
and even then, that is the difficult one. We got her finally vaccinated, and she's good for another 2 years if worst comes to worst, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm gonna go catch some more things here in chat. Hellos back and forth. Sam's asking 11th gen or 12th gen. I guess he's referring to what do I want on the framework, and I'm not caring too much about that. However, Al, let me ask this question when I get down to someone else.
Right now, the framework website is just showing me 12th gen when I go there.
Okay.
Doc,
Yeah.
can I tell you what you want? You want 12th gen.
I do.
Yeah.
You're practicing psychic now, are you?
No, I just tell you what you want and what
You tell me what I
order,
want.
because ordering anything else is stupid.
Okay.
Depends on your application.
And well, one of the things about these laptops is they're supposed to be so easily upgradable about them. Now, when I looked at that a little bit, I saw an indication that you could upgrade to 12th gen if you have the 11th gen, which made me wonder, well, what if you have something before that? Well, they've only been in business for, I think, about 1.5 years. So they don't have any older models computers. So
No.
I'm concerned about whatever I equip it with now. One of the whole attractions of this is that you can upgrade it later, but whatever I start with now, like it's likely going to keep me for 5 or 6 years. So 5 or 6 years, am I going to be able to upgrade the motherboard CPU all within that same case and all the same parts and stuff, or will they have made some basic foundational changes to their structure?
If you order now a 12th gen, when the 13th gen comes out, when the new motherboard comes out with 13th gen, you can upgrade to the 13th gen. Yes.
But I'm unlikely to do that because I'm likely to going to be using this for very low power purposes, very low performance purposes. I wouldn't be using it at home. I don't think I'm going to be using it for gaming or streaming. And you can't put dedicated graphics in this. It doesn't have dedicated graphics. So it's not going to be very good for gaming. And I expect to have better computers for gaming. This does have a dedicated graphics. I believe we determined that during our recent explorations. So the computer that I'm using now, my Surface 3, as I demonstrated, I demonstrated that on Ken Stout Live recently. So not all of this audience knows that, but I did show that on the last Windows Daily. Yeah, because of the swelling battery. That computer works completely satisfactory for me in my client's offices for my purposes, which is I go to Google Chrome to be able to enter time slips and do email. I use Microsoft OneNote. That's where my client notes are stored. And that's really all I use it for. That computer has 2 gigabytes of RAM. Okay? And it's an old... Jim, you noted what you reacted when you saw what processor that was. Do you remember? Xeon, Ion, or some weird name?
At this point, I can't remember.
So it's a Surface 3 computer, and that's completely fine for my needs. So depending upon the price difference between 11th gen and 12th gen, that's likely what's going to make my decision there. And I'm not going to have any reluctance at all to be buying the more economical one there. And I'm probably going to do that during a live stream. And so let the audience follow my experiences with that.
I think my reaction was more to the fact that it was only 2 gigabytes on
2
the system.
gigabytes. Yeah. And it's of course slow, but it's not as slow as this for booting. It's not as slow as this was on the spinning drive. This wipes it out in terms of booting when it's booting on the NVMe drive. But it is satisfactory for my purposes in clients' offices. Catherine.
I hear Surface 3 and I'm already not impressed,
Well, it wasn't supposed to impress you. See, you tend to look at the technical specifications and decide whether you like it or not without considering the application, the person who's using it, what they're using it for. For my purposes, that Surface, we've determined that it was a 2015 computer. And when I bought that in an emergency basis because the laptop that I was using at the time died. I went to Best Buy and they had that there. I could pick it up and run with it. And that's what I did without any research. And I was quite happy with it, quite satisfied with it up until the battery swelled. If the battery did swell on me, I would have kept using it. I've seen swollen battery laptops continue in use for quite some time. I could keep using it, but I don't think I want to. And part of the reason is because I fold up that keyboard, and that's going to put pressure, and I put it in a bag, and that's going to put pressure on a swollen battery. Oh, I don't like that idea.
Don't use a laptop or any PC or any laptop that has swollen battery. You can't. It's a hazard.
There's another command straight from Catherine.
Yes, sorry. I just tell you, please don't do it. If you want to do it and you decide it for yourself and it wants to explode, then well. It's your
And
decision.
and by the way, I think it would have swollen a lot sooner if I was actually using it off of battery power. When I take that computer to clients' offices for many years, I have always plugged it in right away before I turn it on. And I just always wanted it running off of electrical, and that's just pretty much the way I am with laptops. I'm not much of a battery user. Part of the reason for that is because I know batteries, if you're using them, they are going to wear out and they're going to last a couple years, maybe more than that. And if I plug them in, the battery's never going to wear out. Or if it does, I don't care. I have a laptop in the kitchen that I use with an external monitor, and its battery has been shot for years. Well, it's always plugged in. I don't care about the battery. It's not swollen. Go ahead, Catherine.
The problem I have with the Surface, yes,
Yeah.
because my sister had one too in 2018, yes. So the first Surfaces you could not open, yes. So anything that you cannot open,
yeah,
that you need to send into service to Microsoft or somebody else, is in my eyes already a fail. Yes.
Yeah, I understand that.
So my Acer, it has like between 12 and 16 screws at the back cover, yes, but I can take it out, yes, and I can change the hard drive to an SSD. I changed the one NVMe to another NVMe because the first NVMe that was in there was shot. I replaced the display cable on my own. Yes, so yes. So, and my sister, she had one too. I don't know what she has now. I mean, in a few weeks, I go to Switzerland and then I will see. Yes, like surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right, I'm going to go catch up with chat a little bit.
Yeah.
Because let's see, one of the other Dougs will get in the way and disconnect the other drive. You know how they are. The framework laptops look nice and an idea that seems easy to upgrade from what I've seen. Constanza has a framework laptop. Ask me anything. So I went in to look at their community page and see what people were commenting about, and I watched a couple YouTube videos reviewing framework, and something that has stood out is there are people that have reported problems, but they've also reported excellent customer service. Even one of them reported that the owner of the company contacted him personally on an issue. So that's good, but some of the troubles with them that I saw was that there is a lot of unique proprietary manufacturing that has gone through some, painful growth of fixing things that weren't right originally. But it sounds like they are very aggressively trying to be right about their customer support and such. And yeah, there's reviews all over the place. Go ahead, Catherine.
Doc, everything that is first gen, yes, is can be painful to work with. Just take the AMD Ryzen, yes, the first gen. It was just a pain to find memory that fits with it, yes, that the computer would work with it well. And look at it now. Now we're in 4 or 5 years, and AM4 is running stable and it's running great. Yes. So many more RAM are accepted, far less issues with that. Yes, no problem. Every first gen, especially in a laptop, it's even harder. Yes. Because frameworks, they need to see that they make it easy to repair, and they have more likely more individuals that want to use their laptop in a very specific way. So it makes it even harder to support out of them too. Yes, because some of the people that order a framework laptop, they order it without OS, so they install Ubuntu on it. Yes, so they need to make sure that everything is working in Windows and Ubuntu and many more Linux distros too. Yes, so yeah, it's
Okay.
not
Let me.
just like HP or Lenovo, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Okay. Catherine, somebody else had started talking around the same time that you started. Was there somebody else wanting to chime in? Maybe not. Okay. So on a point that you said there just a moment ago, Catherine, about let's see, their own operating system. Yes, when you go through the options for purchasing a framework computer, you can choose no.
Yes.
Hang on a sec, Catherine. Give me some time now, please. You could order with no drive and supply your own M.2 drive, and then I checked to see to be sure it was a 2280 size, and yes, it is. And same thing with RAM, and same thing with the operating system. So the operating system, if I go without an operating system, they were charging $120, $130, something like that. So I could buy one of those CDK deal keys from Carrie. So there's ways there to save a little bit of money. I'm interested in that. I think when it comes time to being ready to order that, I'll go through that with you guys and place that order during a live stream.
Cool, yes.
Okay, I want to catch up here a little bit. Chat. From William Dawson to Catherine. Did you see that comment, Catherine, about a calming spray? Have you tried that?
No,
Yeah.
I did not try calming spray with Sam. Maybe I should, because I have another cat that is like not nice to Sam. Because Bagheera, my other cat, wants to be an ass like once a day to Sam, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, going on here. Sam, 11th gen laptop, no issues. 11th gen is fine. There's a lot more than just that you didn't have issues with it to say that it's fine. Catherine would say no 12th gen because it's more current. For me, I would say 11th gen is fine because I don't need the most current for my application. Let's see, that's chit chat between them. And Tony Wallow, Adam, that was the name of the processor that's in the Surface. And I think that's what makes it work as well as it does. As well as it does on 2 gigabytes of RAM.
Yeah,
Oh, a question mark here. William Dawson uses the question mark. I had offered that a while back about instead of putting in the @ in my channel name, because some people said that it takes up so much of the limited number of characters that you can put into chat, that if you just do a question mark, that I will spot that. So I'm going to do a Control F, and actually let me say 3 question marks. That shows there's 23 question marks. So here, when somebody puts a single question mark at the end of a question, that's not directed at me. So that just gets me too many things. So I'm going to say put in 3 question marks to get my attention, not just a single question mark. There's Wintermeat with 3 question marks. If disk ID was the same, possible that Macrium confused them, displayed M.2, then you restored to H. I was wondering about that. If I actually selected the M.2 to restore to, but that the computer restored it to the hard disk drive for some weird twist of fate. That's possible. I sure would like for that to be the reason rather than me just messing up and making a mistake, but it's probably more likely that it was me. Now, where was I? There's Sam's, the Atom. And here's a single question marks. Yeah, so do 3 question marks at the beginning. And as I'm scanning through here visually, I'll be trying to pick that up. But the orange is really so nice if you're okay with doing that. Wham bam, you can never have too much RAM. Ryan saying, don't forget to like the video. And my screen just bounced on me. How's the scrolling doing today? V, you were the one that really noticed the scrolling, and he's no longer in Zoom. Just have the overhead light. Well, that's chit chat. Zvi, does your laptop work without battery? What version of Windows was installed first when you got it? I think it was Windows 7. It was 2015. And I think that laptop was actually on sale because maybe it was being discontinued. So I highly doubt that it was Windows 10. And I believe I remember at some point along the line, I did a fresh wipe and reload of Windows 10 on it after having done the upgrade to Windows 10, and then something went wrong. But no, you can't remove the battery. It's these things are very difficult to open up.
That's an understatement.
Yeah, of course, you know, Jim, that I'm tempted, since I'm replacing it anyway, to go ahead and demonstrate it, what it's like opening it.
Okay. Well, you know, everybody wants to, there are some people who like to live their nightmares. Like, go right ahead, knock yourself out, man, because it won't be me. I can tell you that.
I don't know that I'll do that. But the business Doug, he every time I come up with one of these things I want to do, he says, is that really beneficial to the channel, to the viewers of this channel?
We're going to have to tranquilize that, Doug.
Yeah.
Oh, no, but
yes,
he's on.
I agree.
No, that I would have thought that Doug's on your side, Jim, because he would say, no, don't do it. Because I don't think that's really, I don't know that that's really beneficial to the viewers on this channel.
Whichever Doug even brings the idea up that surface, he's the one we have to tranquilize.
Well,
Yep.
your audio cut out a little
Yes.
bit. You're saying tranquilize which one?
The one who's suggesting to actually try to open it up.
Oh, that's me.
Well, we're gonna have to tranquilize you then.
Yeah, yes, we do, because that's dangerous.
The Surface line has always consistently gotten the worst ratings for serviceability.
Yeah.
Consistently.
Well, I don't
Yes.
think there's any really useful point to the channel. Hey, Doug, you're up on deck. Be ready to come in and substitute. Oh, yeah, Catherine, you're taking a lot of, you're kind of consuming a lot of audio here. Go ahead.
You can do me a favor and open the surface with a hammer.
Well, okay. I do have a laptop here that I had my grandson take a hammer to. Might bring that out someday. Hello, Josh.
Hey, Doug.
All right, coming back to chat. Looking for question marks and looking for orange. Sam doesn't trust Surface. Costanza, that's how I use my framework laptop plugged in at the office, except when I'm on the couch watching my Bulls game. Battery life not good, but it fits my needs too. I saw people saying they're complaining about only getting 2 hours of battery life, and it used to be that was what I hoped to get. But anyway, yeah, I'm not really a battery user. Now, the reason this Surface swelled is because on Tuesday evening, I joined into the Ken Stout Live show in Zoom. I was not trying to stream YouTube at the same time. I watched the YouTube briefly and then went into Zoom and then shut down the browser because I never even tried Zoom on that computer. And it was plugged in at the time. And then after I got off, I unplugged it, closed the lid, went over to a big cushy chair that was in the other room, opened it up on battery, and started listening to an audiobook. That's what I do to wind down, go to sleep. I go to bed a lot earlier than any of the Ken Stout Live people. and it was during that time that I noticed something looked weird on the side of the computer, and that's when I noticed it was swollen. So I think it was just that brief time of using the battery. That's when the battery's going to warm up, and I think that's when it swelled and kind of popped out the screen a little bit. Coming back into chat, Doug missed you at EAA AirVenture. Well, Ken Misudek, I've been to Oshkosh on one occasion. It was for a leadership training conference. I've never actually been to AirVenture, but two of my brothers were there. My oldest brother, Tom, he is a pilot, has an experimental aircraft. And then my brother, Stan, is traveling around the country in a van, and he happened to be there at Tom's home for AirVenture. So they both went. And my brother Tom flew his grandson into AirVenture. Barely got in time between the close of the air show and the start of the fireworks show. Oops, that scrolled too far. Chit chat, there's an orange. I thought that I had Wi-Fi 6E issue with my framework. Customer support helped me figure out that's my Asus router that is bugged. Good customer service experience. I'm very attracted to that good customer service. I always avoid calling manufacturer customer service because it's just so difficult. Chit chat, orange. I would choose framework option with no SSD and no Wi-Fi if possible. I would go with Samsung SSD, Intel Wi-Fi card. That's interesting. Intel Wi-Fi card. Yeah, that sounds like you'd have to have. I don't think that's pluggable onto that computer unless you're putting it into a USB port.
Does it have a small PCIe slot for a Wi-Fi card?
It has 4. Oh, wow, that's out of line. It has 4 ports on it, and then they have these little cartridges that you can plug in for whether you want USB-A or USB-C or what else. They don't have an Ethernet port. The port that those devices are plugging into, it's not a Lightning port, but I think it is. It's a port that is an Apple, comes from the Apple world, I think. Yeah.
I think what Jeff means is the 2230 E adapter for the Wi-Fi card that you can slot into the framework. I'm sure they have a connection for that.
All right. Is it the same kind of? Is it like an M.2 slot? Just one of those shorter ones?
Well,
Yes,
it's
just a very short one. Yes.
yeah, it's a short PCIe slot that's on some motherboards.
Okay. I get it. Yeah. All right. Well, I will keep that in mind, Sam. Continuing, there's Sam with 3 question marks. Yeah, if you hit me in orange, you don't need the 3 question marks. Photomix Media, the chat scrolling is bad on YouTube. Yeah, I had increased the bit rate, and then I noticed when I did a live stream one day, it automatically lowered the bit rate. So that's still an ongoing issue. See if I can catch up with what's going on from Lawn Dog. Ran, you could try to open it with your monster chainsaw. William Dawson, I do not think Surface was made to be repaired in the first place. Yeah, of course not. Tune in to DougBetts from Ryan. You won't regret, you can bet. All right, I'll play on my name there. I'll try to keep the scrolling to just a scroll and then stop. Sam, I have an Intel AX201 Intel Wi-Fi card, but not on that framework. Laptop, you have it on something else, I think. Heard of people having driver issues with Intel, never had issues with Intel Wi-Fi card. Okay, got it. have I sufficiently answered what I did to get this all-in-one working again? I think I did. Are there any remaining questions about it? Oh, Zavi's back. Hi, Zavi.
Not back. I'm the first time after some weeks that I didn't join the Zoom, and you miss me, so I
Yes.
enjoy now.
Yes, I miss you. I'm glad to see you back.
By the way, the scrolling in the chat and sometimes in the website is not good.
Yeah.
The camera is steady.
The camera is steady.
Yes, it was
Okay.
when you scrolling the website. Also, the picture on from your camera was the blurred.
Low resolution.
It was blurred. It's in a moment. And another thing that other don't say to you, when you are using the Bluetooth and you connect or disconnect, the internet is scrolling.
When I disconnect or connect this.
Yes.
Yes, I'm aware of that, and my intention is to put this on before I start the live stream, and I missed that today.
When I demonstrated about it, when you are in the audio, in the application you used, and also you have said about setting something about the audio, the noise.
Yeah. Oh, yes, yes. The audio, the noise that I believe is happening because of the sound gate. And when I was demonstrating that during the Windows Live video, I went back and watched that video, and I noticed every time I was changing that setting, it did an audio glitch. It did a weird stuttering kind of thing. I did watch that. And so my intention is to always have that noise gate turned off, and I'm going to look at that right now and confirm, yes, that is currently turned off. Now, let me make a point about the scrolling symptom. What I did after you pointed that out, I think you and others pointed that out, I went back and watched it, and then I did some experiments where I did multiple private live streams. So I'm broadcasting live stream, but it's flagged as private, so you're not getting notifications about it. You can't go find it and see it. But the purpose of that is for me to test different settings, and I go back and watch it myself, rather than making changes during a live stream and working with you on it. So when I'm running into a problem, my technique for that is to try to fix that using private live streams. Now, the place where that doesn't work is if the issue I'm trying to resolve has to do with Zoom. Now, the way I deal with that is I'll open the Zoom session. So I'm in the Zoom session like I am now, and then I'll I'll join the Zoom session from Baby Beast. So I've got two people in there, and then I can typically work out whatever issues are going on. So because I want this channel to be about the computer technical topics that could be of use to other people, and working out these broadcasting issues. I'm trying to do those as much as I can outside of our actual time together. Okay. Catching up over here. Rumor is LAN connection is in the works according. Yes, I did see that they are working to do an Ethernet connection, and I would like to have that, because one of the things that I want to use the laptop for at my clients' offices is when they're having problems with their Ethernet connections. So I can take a laptop and connect it to Ethernet. With my Surface laptop, I can't do that unless I use a USB Ethernet, which I could. I haven't got to that point. Typically, I'll just take another laptop that I have here that has an Ethernet port. Did I hear somebody trying to chime in on that comment?
No.
Yes, please.
Okay, go ahead.
I put in the link for the replacement of the Wi-Fi card.
Okay.
So you scroll down to step 8 and you see how the Wi-Fi card is in there in the laptop.
All right, I'm showing that now. I went to that link and you said scroll down to where? Step 8.
8.
All right. Okay, yeah, so they're showing remove the Wi-Fi bracket. So their Wi-Fi card is internal, so you can buy it without their Wi-Fi card and use the
Yes.
Intel Wi-Fi card. Okay, I like that.
Yes. Yes.
That sounds appealing to me.
6Cs are $25 at Amazon.
For $25 for what?
A 6E, a Wi-Fi 6E.
Oh, a 6E card.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, is it backward compatible to lower capability Wi-Fi?
Yes.
Okay, good. Because when I go into a client's office, they're not necessarily all going to be up to 6. Probably not.
Yeah.
Sam, his Wi-Fi card is in a Razer laptop. Okay. And there's that link that I just showed Catherine provided. That's chit chat. Here's 3 question marks from Wintermute. Wi-Fi card framework supplies with custom builds. Is an Intel AX20 or 210, which is M.2 2230 form factor. Yeah, that's sounds like very similar to what Catherine just showed us. And yeah. Oh, you know what? I want to point out this since we've got an opportunity here. Here's a thing where websites are popping up this thing. I think they're required to do this, asking about cookies. You can accept or reject. I've been looking at the customize and I've been surprised that I find that most of them, they are already set to minimal, meaning strictly necessary they have turned on. Basic interactions and functionalities they have turned off. So you could turn this on if you want more functionality, but it looks to me like it's turned off by default. Or does it only show off as off if you go into this customization? Yeah, I don't know how to tell that. But every time I go into one of those customizations, it looks like they're already set to the minimal. Josh, are you at your aunt's still, or are you at your home?
I'm at my aunt helping my aunt.
Okay, so Josh and I had a little bit of conversation about me doing some work with him on Fortnite, coaching him through Fortnite. Now that's installed on your home computer, right?
Yeah, I have it installed on my own computer and I did the download last night.
Okay. Well, just to let you know, I think you're already aware that Dennis is not going to be available for our Fortnite daily sessions because he's moving. So during this time period, when you get back home, that might be a convenient time for you and I to pursue that.
Okay, I'm off Tuesday and Thursday.
Okay, Tuesday and Thursday. So we're going to move on. We're not going to stay on this topic too much because that's not what this channel is about. Tuesday and Thursday, you said. And my 7 a.m. Pacific time apparently works for you because you're usually there in the live chat. And I'm going to ask you to have your bed made and not be wearing underwear. A white T-shirt is underwear.
Yeah.
All right. So put on. I hope you would use like a collared shirt because I want to present a little better image on that channel. You good with that?
Yeah, that's good.
All right, great. Now, coming back, some of you aren't aware of the Fortnite conversation, so I won't go into that a whole lot, but I do have a Fortnite channel. Grandpa Doug Learns Fortnite, it's called. All right, moving forward, let's see. That is Chit Chat and Sam. My laptop with Wi-Fi 6 Intel Wi-Fi card works with all Wi-Fi networks, even works with old Wi-Fi 3 router. Okay, got up. Let's see. I got a list here of stuff, and I have covered all of those potential topics for today. Quicker than I was fearing, because I was planning to go show these bits of the recorded video, but that's just so hard to get to
So
those
basically,
points.
sorry. So basically what it amounts to, the cliff notes of this is, should have removed or disconnected the other drive and update BIOS.
Yeah, update BIOS would have been a good idea too, because it should have triggered in me to update BIOS, because I was putting in a current NVMe into a 2017 computer. So I think that should have been an automatic call to upgrade BIOS. So yeah, upgrading BIOS before doing a hardware upgrade could be a appropriate rule to have. And anytime doing things with images, disconnect unneeded drives. Would have solved it. That would have been very, very difficult for anybody to talk me into prior to this experience, because I've done that a lot. I have restored images a lot of times, and sometimes I'm restoring them remotely. I'll restore images remotely to a client's computer. And in some of those occasions, the secondary drive is where the backup image is coming from. But Macrium Reflect won't let you restore an image to the drive that contains the image that you're restoring. So that's a no-brainer. And usually my clients' computers don't have a secondary drive unless it's there for the reason of the Macrium Reflect backup images. So that I won't be disconnecting the secondary drives when I'm doing that kind of a restore, but here, when it's reasonable to do so, yes, I should be disconnecting. Now I just use the word should, and the hair on the back of your neck should have stood up with that, because, all right, Doug, don't use the word should. This computer, this all-in-one, if I wasn't disassembling it anyway, if I was just restoring an image to the NVMe drive that was in it, is it worth disassembling the computer that far to disconnect the secondary drive just to be sure I don't inadvertently restore to that drive? Now, actually, that secondary drive in here was containing the backup images of the NVMe drive, of the, let's see. Yeah, the drive that was in here was a 128 gigabyte NVMe drive. It was doing routine backups to the secondary drive. So if I was restoring, that would have been okay, because it would have been okay to do that restore, particularly if I was restoring an image from that drive. But in my case, I was restoring from an external drive. I do not believe at this point strong enough in disconnecting the secondary drive to justify disassembling the computer. No.
No, if you're not changing hardware, I would imagine not.
No.
I have never disconnected a second drive.
Never. Yeah.
Store.
Well, hey, as of 2 weeks ago, I would say the same thing.
Especially now with boot managers, what it loads from it. So you can load from either drive on most computers nowadays. So it doesn't matter. I mean, I found out that one of my M.2s was faster than the other on a laptop that I used for the car. I just put all the programs there. But then again, I have, for all the folks out there, we at work and then on the private stuff and for the home business, nothing is ever on the proverbial C drive. No data, only programs. So if you get the C drive, have at it. And all the data is either on D or remote. So we don't lose it.
Yeah.
And if it works, you catch it on a C drive or on desktop, you're in trouble. And home business, same thing.
I just had a flash. I just had an idea. Hang on a second. Remember when I mentioned that I thought I had to do the restore a second time, here's what I'm thinking now. How about the first restore I did to the NVMe drive, successfully restored to that drive before doing the BIOS update, and then restart the computer, and I had some kind of a problem and it didn't go right. And so then that's what prompted me to do the second restore. But at that point in time, the NVMe drive BIOS was not recognizing it anymore. I didn't realize that because I was distracted. And I did the restore to the spinning drive. And then that would have been Tuesday morning when I showed you live. I restarted the computer and we ran into the problems and the discovery that that was the spinning drive. So how about the original old BIOS was able to recognize the NVMe drive before I restored a GPT image to that. Then when I restarted the computer, the BIOS said, no, I don't know how to deal with this. But then there was the issue of the signature, duplicate signatures. I don't know. I think I'm probably going to have to walk away with this with some mystery unanswered.
Now, I will say something I've been doing for the last 3 to 5 years on a personal level. I actually wiped the drive out on the first one, not wipe it, excuse me, but actually get rid of all the partitions outside of Windows. And that way it doesn't see anything there and it goes on and redoes it completely.
Okay.
Because I've had some luck where Windows, for some reason, likes to think that its boot manager is good there and doesn't redo it with a Kronos.
Yeah.
Now I go back to doing this stuff before Ghost. I mean, we did it. Remember LapLink?
Oh, yeah.
Parallel?
Oh yeah, I use Ghost.
LapLink? You ever did that?
Oh yes, yep, I did LapLink.
Yeah.
With parallel cable.
The little yellow cable that came with?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
the yellow cable came with attached to parallel printer ports.
Yep, and it was so fast. But then again, the drives were in the megabytes, not the gigabytes.
Right. Right.
But yeah, so, but yeah, we've forever always data off the drive. And there is a problem we've had with that when you boot up. A lot of your shortcuts, a lot of your desktop, a lot of your programs automatically go, like Office loads right now, like 365 and 2021 loads some programs. And they already know all your data is going to be on the D drive. If you don't have the second drive there, you do have problems at times. So if you take that to a computer that only has one M.2 or spinning drive, let's say drive for the old timers, it's going to go, well, where's my data at? I got a problem here because all that stuff we've set up either in registry or through the setups to be looking someplace else for data. If that data is not there, some of the programs choke. And then for all of the people that didn't start out as programmers for 15 to 20 years, bad programmers do bad things. And we're bad programmers in 2022, just as they were in 76. Nothing's changed, just they make more.
Yeah.
But you'd be surprised, and that's the problem with some of the upgrades we're getting right now, even from Microsoft. They got a couple of bad programmers there that we've noticed with some of the betas coming through that we're testing, and they're looking for stuff that's not still there. And they're not supposed to do that. But what happens is if you use Microsoft products, you're gold. Use Office, if you use program Visual Studio, and use Windows, preferably 11. And I'm not selling it, and I know everybody knows I love it, but even 10. But they're not developing for 10 much anymore. They're doing basically updates, security type stuff. 11's getting all the new development, and maybe quote 12 or 13, 15, 27, hike. But they're going forward. They're not going backwards anymore. And actually, we've got a couple of developments at work, which I don't even deal with. I haven't even seen anything, but I every once in a while walk by and say, hey, what happened? So far, they're still sending updates to all the non-conforming computers. We have very few non-conforming computers out of like 8,000. We have probably got under 50. But you guys were talking about Surface that I was listening to and letting Catherine not yell at me. We have Surface for some of our, I hate to say this out loud, but nobody knows who I really am, artsy-fartsy types. They go to an ad agency and they're, kibitzing back and forth. They have the Surface because everybody loves the Surface there. You go to the, you go to the power users, engineers, you got the power computer. You go to the politician, you have the run-of-the-mill Dell that you can't get in trouble with. I mean, the people who are outside, the people inside are using Dell Latitudes with a 4-year contract. Even our Surfaces, we don't have that many of them, but we got either exchange before, like there's a broken keyboard that works but not real well. We get one up before we can ship it back. And we get next day replacement. If we send it to them tonight, we'll have it by noon tomorrow. So you're out with 5 days, 5 hours.
Yeah.
Who cares? Now, we're not talking home users. We do pay for that. And within the 4 years, they're garbage. All computers. We don't deal with 4-year-old computers.
Yeah. Yeah. I could see that for your guys.
But last thing I'll say about programming computers and the software for all you guys, I think Greg, maybe Jim, and for sure Jeff have dealt with paying for software monthly. We paid for software monthly in the 70s and 80s, 90s, and we're talking per user $100 a month for certain software packages.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I play musical instruments on the side as a hobby, which I haven't done for about a year now. But I pay for my some of my software for that every month. I pay a year in advance, of course, but I've been doing that forever, and it worked. Literally, we have some accounting packages, manufacturing packages, $100 per seat per month, and we're talking users. We're talking hundreds of users.
Yeah.
And then again, if you go down, I've been traveling for the past about 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks, and last couple of things. I've been in Mexico in places that are not really safe for the average person. They actually gave me guards. And for all you workers here in America, we weren't allowed to talk to the warehouse, the manufacturing people. We were outside, nice and hot, getting sunning, and at lunch, they come out and we're talking. A couple of them knew English better than I do, and they got in trouble.
Oh, got in trouble for talking to you.
Yeah, can you imagine that?
Yeah.
Go to your local plant in Fresno out there and see if work comes on and says, "Hey, what you doing today, Doug?" And they get literally yelled at and pushed away. That would happen, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Hey, something you said triggered a story I wanted to tell. Jim, the story that I related to you about, I think it was on Ken Stout Live. I'm asking you, was it there? Because I don't think it was on any of my channels, about the client that where some of the computers in their office weren't able to access the internet, and it was because we had static IP addresses assigned. Did I tell you that story on Ken Stout Live, or did I already give that to the audience here?
That's a good question.
I think I addressed that to you.
I think it was on Ken Stout.
I think so. So let me go ahead and give that story here, because something that Gary just said triggered that. I mean, when he was talking about the configuration where they put all their data on the D drive, and my hair on the back of my neck stood up with that, because anytime that you depart from the default way of doing things, you could be setting yourself up for trouble down the line. Now, they do that by policy, so they're very conscious about that. So I'm not saying that my lesson applies to them, but my lesson was I had to come back early from the cabin this week, because a client with about 35 computers, I think it is, in their office, some of their computers, what it was originally ported to me as most of their computers couldn't access the internet. We were trying to restart the router, deal with network things, and we weren't making good progress remotely. So I came back to town, 2-hour drive. I was coming back anyway that day, but just wasn't planning to come back that early. So I was kind of rushed to get back. When I got into their office, what I discovered was there's about 8 of their computers that had static IP addresses set on their computers. Now, the reason we had done that years ago was because there were occasionally times when those computers were failing to pick up a new IP address from the router through DHCP. So I would assign them static IP addresses, and I assigned them static DNS addresses according to the current DNS servers that the internet service provider was using. Well, apparently they've recently changed or deprecated those DNS servers, because currently they're different. So all I had to do,
that's why they couldn't get anywhere.
Yeah, all I had to do to fix those computers was switch those computers to automatic DHCP, and and I didn't even have to restart them. That'll just apply immediately, and boom, they're fixed. I could have easily taught my client through doing that on those computers, but at that point in time, we didn't know there was only a handful of computers. When I left from Huntington to come back down to Fresno, I said, I want you to go around to each of the computers, look down in the notification area in the bottom right corner. They normally should have that rectangle monitor, which indicates they have an Ethernet connection. None of them are on Wi-Fi. If they're on Wi-Fi, they would be showing the Wi-Fi signal strength indicator. But if they're not getting successful Ethernet, they'll have that wireframe globe. It's a circle with lines through it. So kind of gives the impression of a globe. So when I got to the office, there was only about 8 computers. And that immediately triggered in me, it's probably DNS problem on those computers because they have static IP addresses. I went to the first one and switched it. Sure enough, that solved it. Within 5 minutes, I had the problem solved. And that was after working about an hour and a half remotely, trying to fix it, failing, trying to get help from their internet service provider to see if they could restart the router remotely. And we couldn't get through to them twice. They got hung up. My client got hung up on after 45 minutes on the hold. Severely dislike that internet service provider. It's not one of the major names. So anyway, that when you depart from normal settings, normal default settings, you could be setting yourself up to a problem. It comes to my mind, some of you like, some of you dislike Steve Gibson on Security Now, but he ran into a similar problem where he had a problem with one of his servers he wasn't able to get into. After a long period of trying to figure it out, he realized it was because of a registry edit that he did for some purpose years ago that he'd totally forgotten about. So anytime you're departing from the normal default settings, you could be setting yourself up for trouble down the road.
Well, to go back to what you said, and you're 100% right, I mean, without exception. But remember, at work, it's not the D drive, it's the server.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I mean, in other words, they can, if they take the notebook, everybody has notebooks except a few, hardcore, heavy-duty CAD type people. And even those work from heavy-duty laptops most of the time, because we have some places down south in America. And school started in Tennessee, a couple places in Georgia, the 1st of August. And one of the people came up to me in our offices in Michigan area. We got bills from a small company that's about 1,000 manufacturing employees, almost $2,000 worth of office supplies ordered in the first week of August. School supplies.
Yeah.
Gary, let me ask you a question.
Jeff?
Yeah, I want to ask Gary a question. If you're using the laptops and say somebody's working from home or whatever, do you actually have a second drive in those, a D drive?
Nope. Well, some do, but no, they're signing on.
Okay, so the D drive that you're talking about is not in the laptop, it's a server.
At home, for me, it's in a D drive, but yeah, it's in a server. It's always a second drive.
Okay, I was just wondering what model of laptop lets you add a second drive.
There are
I don't know one that doesn't. I'm not trying to be facetious with you.
Okay, well, I was just looking online and I didn't see any where I could configure a second drive if I wanted to buy a laptop.
And got twos? Oh, we got to go to Dell, every one of them. About $500.
Yeah, I've had laptops that you open it up and there are 2 drives.
Well, I can understand you may open it up and see one. I'm just saying I couldn't find a work laptop from Dell that offered me an option to have a second drive right from the factory.
Oh,
So I'm looking in the right place apparently.
Yeah, I mean, they'll add them, but they're outrageously expensive. They're probably $400 for one terabyte drive.
Okay.
let me
But
go
yeah,
get it.
All right. Thank you.
No, they all have the second slot. I mean,
Let me
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to tell you.
Yeah.
That was a real quick statement. I quote retired 4 years ago from 1999, or excuse me, 2019 from an insurance company, and all of our stuff was HIPAA. So if it's on the server, you can't take that laptop with you. I
Yep.
mean, for all you folks out there in La La Land, not LA, I mean, just it's a dream statement. People don't realize how much we're saving with having you guys work from home. I mean, just your cube. That's 10 by that's 100 square feet at 10 by 10 by 10. You know, think about that when you're renting an office space someplace. Then put 100 people there on a cube. We got air conditioning. Air condition. You go home, you air condition your own home. And I mean, Jeff and Doug, how much does air conditioner guys run out there?
Well, my annualized electric,
Yeah. I mean, it's like-
I'm paying like 200 and something a month year round. I have an even payment plan.
Exactly. So you're doing your own air conditioning. I don't care about that. I mean, there's a joke in
Well, that's
2020.
reflected in my consulting rates if you hire me.
I'm serious though. You think about this.
No, I understand.
You go to a business with 1,000 manufacturing employees. We have one in Tennessee, where I was at.
Yep.
Toilet paper. It's a joke, but how much do we spend on toilet paper? A couple grand.
That
Okay,
was
well-
one of the reasons for the toilet paper shortage when the pandemic started, is that more people were at home and they weren't using toilet paper at work. True stories.
Yeah, it's not a joke. People think when I say that, they're like, yeah, find out how much we spend on this company on toilet paper. Then we're not huge. I mean, when you talk about all employees, not all our computer people, but talk about that. Pencils. We could put a tree together with the amount of pencils we use in a month. But people don't realize that. But anyway, the point I was going to say about computers, I've been in about 8 different countries in the past 3 weeks. America sucks on internet. That place in Mexico, I could get 1 gig. I had my 60 Wi-Fi card in the plant would get 1.2 gig. And outside the plant, I'd do a speed test and I get 700 meg. So in other words, if I do a speed test up to Michigan, I get 700 meg in Mexico.
Okay, time out. I want to get back to the chat room. And Catherine, I know you're trying to chime in, but I want to go catch up with the chat room. You're first up to bat after that. Ran, very possible UEFI boot manager may have been confused by the 2 identical GUID. That's when I was suggesting that maybe it would have been a problem. The problem occurred when I rebooted after that first restore. Ran Israel says, I mentioned it on Thursday's Windows Daily. I don't believe I had a Windows Daily on Thursday because that's when I came back from the mountain. So yeah, I maybe did mention it on a Windows Daily, but I don't think it was Thursday. Let's see, there's chit chat, set the routers, vManor. Oh, really? I'm caught up? Oh, I thought I had a lot more to catch up with. Yeah, I don't think I skipped over anything. Oh, all right. Sorry, I thought I was way behind. Okay.
One last thing for me, Doug, just real quick for everybody. Drive is M.2 SATA, SSD, HDD, whatever you call it. Drive is whatever it works into the particular machine you have. For me, you know, mainframe's still got a drive in it.
Okay.
Might even be a punch card if you're old enough, but it's a drive. Storage media. How about that?
Okay. Yeah. I think it'd be really convenient if we can use the term hard drive to just refer to drives, and it's not always the word hard drive. And I'd like to have that separated from meaning spinning drive. Somehow the term hard drive is very convenient to use. Catherine, you were trying to chime in a little while ago.
Yes. So, you know, you said there you want an Ethernet port for the framework, and they have one coming soon.
Yes, I did see that they promised it. So that comforts me a little bit that it's eventually going to come available, and
I sent the link in the YouTube video
about
so
that
Yes.
promise. Yeah, I'm showing that now. I think oh they're actually showing it. Get notified. Yeah, okay. Oh yeah, I didn't know they actually had it
Yes, this
that
one.
far along. That's kind of a weird that they use that clear plastic on it.
Might be prototype.
Oh, they might be showing a prototype, yeah, rather than the finished product. Okay. This connector here, that's the
USB-C.
Say again?
It looks like a USB-C connector.
No, it's not. They gave the name of it. And if you looking here, you can tell that it's a little different, but it is a connector type that I know that I've heard of before, and I'm sure somebody in chat will probably come up with that.
Actually, looks like USB-B connector that he used on some of Western Digital hard drives, external.
Yeah, I understand the type that you're describing, but that's not the name of it. Did anybody come up with it here yet? I can go look for it if I need to. My mistake, Friday's daily, literally in this description. Yeah, so was Friday. For that reason, as a program, you have to be creative or place the data that all users, especially multi-user. Thunderbolt 3, Thunderbolt. Yeah, I do think that is right. Because I was saying it's not Lightning, but it comes from Apple. I think Thunderbolt comes from Apple, doesn't it?
No, from Intel.
From Intel?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I think that's what it was, Thunderbolt. So all of their adapters, they have the 4 Thunderbolt 3 ports. They make these adapters for that, provide your USB A or C or whatever else.
It's a real tech that it looks like too.
Okay, comparing prices between framework and other side. I know the other side appears to be quite a bit cheaper after configuring them to similar prices. Yeah, Sam also says Thunderbolt 4. Now, I think that might actually be right, but I don't remember. That's okay. We'll get to it. Has the speeds. Thunderbolt is Intel. Okay, very good.
I have not checked on the framework personally. I mean, I've looked at it, everybody has, but one thing I don't like is, right now you can update the drive, M.2, you can update the memory, and actually most of it's gonna be locked at 64, even though the new boards are coming out from Intel, the chip will read 128 on the laptop chips. But the problem is CPUs are not gonna be that upgradable because they usually want a new motherboard.
Yeah, I think if you want to upgrade the CPU, you're actually replacing the motherboard with the CPU attached.
And if you want a new Thunderbolt 4, it's going to need probably a new BIOS with a new motherboard.
Yeah.
Depending on what you get. So, you're kind of discrete, and they don't have the discrete graphics there. So,
right.
And I don't see NVIDIA right now, going to the small framework where they can put it in.
Yeah, that's too small of an audience, I think. Okay, I want to give a chance here. Gary and Catherine have had quite a bit of time. Is there anybody else in Zoom that's wanting to chime in with question or comment? Okay, I guess
my last electricity bill was $122 that came in yesterday.
Oh, I think I'm up around 300.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah, that's because I've been a lot more generous with the air conditioner this summer.
I've got mine set on 74.
But I've been more generous with it because Big Beast Build generates so much heat. But now I've got this fan in here, my 10-inch GPU fan. It's a 10-inch fan in the wall of that closet that sends air from this room into the laundry room. So that causes a circulation in here. Without that, the heat was just building up in this room. So I had to cool down the rest of the house quite a lot in order to get this room tolerable.
I have an equal payment plan for electricity, and it's $216 a month, 12 months a year.
All right. Yeah, but when during like spring and fall, between the times when I'm not using much air conditioning or heat, I'm down around $90. That's gas and electric.
We have 2 different companies in Michigan or Detroit area, gas and electric. So you can't even do that.
Yeah.
Winter you get gas hit up the gang, and in the summer you get electric.
Ida says she paid $598 last month. I know there's people that have much higher, particularly like if you have a swimming pool and more people in the house. And I'm still, every time solar comes around, oh gosh, I hate them coming around. I don't have solar. But I have taken steps towards it a few times, and just the amount of time and the frustration my neighbors have with it, I just don't see enough of the cost savings for me yet to
I have
make
trees
it
higher
worth my
than my
time.
house. I have trees higher than my house.
Yeah, well, I don't. I would be fine. In fact, I have space in my backyard that I investigated having a solar farm off of the ground out in my backyard. Turns out that's more expensive than on the roof because of the engineering needed to put it into the ground. So it's more of a nuisance.
We have a private street in Vermont, and around the bend, 5 houses down there selling it. And they did a drone shot. That's the big thing. And the house looks like a little bungalow, about 900 square feet. I'm not going to say how big it is, but it's a 7-figure house.
Part of the problem here is that the residential neighborhood that I'm in, that has about 60 homes, we're surrounded on all sides by agriculture, and the dust in here is just nuts. So all my neighbors that have solar, they have to, if they don't clean their solar panels like about 4 times a year, then they're not getting good solar production. And some of them don't clean them, and obviously I think they've probably totally given up on their solar. So, and my neighbor right next door, they pay a service to come out and do it, and I think they're paying about $100 each time they come out. So you got to factor that in to the cost of your solar. Anyway, here we're looking at where we're just approaching 2 hours. That's feeling like a good length of video to start hanging this up, because I've told my stories. You've had a chance to tell your stories in Zoom and chat. So if nobody comes up with a topic that we're going to continue with, then we're going to wrap this up pretty soon here. William says you could use solar to cut your power bill, but only really pays if you can sell power to the power company. Now, on that topic, I've been told one of my brothers that has, excuse me a moment, one of my brothers that, let's see, does not have solar, but he's talked to them a few times. The thing that he's been told is that they don't want to sell you enough solar that you can actually sell it back to the power company. Why? What was the explanation for that? There was some explanation for that. Oh, I know what it was. They said that your solar is going to first cut down the incremental top tiers of your electrical. As you, the first amount of solar that you're generating is saving you from the top tier, the most expensive electricity costs. And as you're meeting more and more of your electricity consumption by use of solar, you're reducing the cost efficiency of those solar panels because you're saving a lower cost electricity. And then when you get to the point of being able to sell electricity back, you're not getting the same dollar value as you were getting on those higher tiers of electricity. I think that's a reasonable explanation.
You know, the power company doesn't like it either.
Yes, I think that's
When
the
the
case.
solar
They don't
salesmen
want
come
that.
around in Nevada, they tell you that they're not allowed to size your system big enough that you are guaranteed to sell power back.
Yeah,
No
and
theory.
I suspect the tax compensation for that might not be there at those higher levels of power panels. I don't know.
In Michigan, because of the kind of state we are, northern climate, I mean, we're 90 degrees today, which is not like you guys or a lot of you guys, but right now it's overcast. Your solar panels would be dead right now. I mean, the clouds are there, but that's why it's so hot. But we can sell power back to Detroit Edison. I have some people at work that do it. You know, engineer types have been doing their job for 20, 30 years in the management. And the Detroit Edison does not have the battery capacity to make it worthwhile. So basically they have to cut back. They have to send your electricity to somebody else type of thing. So all you're doing really is running your meter quote backwards. But yeah, they don't really want it. We need, or if we're going to do solar or any of that kind of thing at home, we need to have somebody, be it us or somebody else, that has storage capacity for excess energy. So at night we can siphon it off. Because, you know, after 9 o'clock, after 8 o'clock in Michigan, even in the summer, we don't have any charging capability for any kind of solar energy. And I look outside right now, there is no wind. So what are you going to do? And if we had direct sunlight hitting us.
Okay, I'm going to do a last catch up with chat, and I'll come back to Zoom for goodbyes, and we'll hang it up. Iowa Hank says it's only 84 in my room because of all the equipment, 75 in the rest of the house, so 9 degrees higher with the equipment. As Sam asked for my Windows 12 thoughts. I can give you thoughts on Windows 12. I don't think that's going to happen. I'll take a stand on that, and I don't think it's going to happen in 2024. I don't have any further care about in the details of it because it's until a product is actually announced and launched. It's
companies. So when you talk to tech people, you're going, "Oh God, it was Spy. Oh, hey, it's new. Look, Windows."
Okay.
Because I told you that story. I think I told you that story on Ken Stout Live, and that's the one that I realized a little while ago that I want to relate to the audience here. Okay. So I'm going to give that story. Some of you have heard this story. So while I was up at the cabin, a client called me with a problem. He's on his computer. He wasn't able to access his OneDrive files. And we converted the whole office to cloud operation using SharePoint, and the computers use OneDrive to access those files. But they weren't getting, there was one file from one of the other people in his office that wasn't coming to his computer. I connected remotely to his computer. He's in the Netherlands. And I found that OneDrive was not synchronizing at all. The cloud icons were not there at all. Down in the bottom left right corner, the notification area, there's a red dot indicating his computer needs to be restarted to install updates. So I explained that to him. I've explained it to him many times before. And so I went ahead and it did the restart command, and we could tell it was going to take a while. So his computer's restarting, installing updates. It finishes counting through the graphic up to 100% on the shutdown side. It restarts on the startup side. It does another graph of installing updates. It does not restart again. I hang up on the phone with him. He calls me back a while later and explains that it started up, but there's these windows open I don't recognize. I don't know what to do with. So I connect remotely to his computer and find that what is open is the search window for Windows 11. This computer just upgraded to Windows 11. A few days prior, he contacted me by text saying he's got a prompt on his screen asking if he wants to update to Windows 11. I told him to decline it. He spends half the year in Netherlands, Amsterdam, and then half the year here in Fresno. And I said, I want to have you in Fresno when you experience getting accustomed to Windows 11. I told him it's probably not going to be a big deal to you. It's got some differences for me as a technician, but on your side, you launch programs with icons and such. Probably not going to be a big deal, but he didn't recognize what to do with. So I exited out of that search window. There's a couple other unusual windows. I don't remember what they were, but now he's on Windows 11. So I discussed it with him. I said, we have to do Windows 11 by October 2025. And I think I'm saying that date right. And I've been so far resisting or declining it with clients. And I told you a few days ago to decline it. Now, there's some other screens that might have come up after you declined it that are kind of tricky to respond to. Do you remember anything like that happening? He says, no, but thought I declined it, thought it worked. But here it restarted in Windows 11. So I said, well, why don't you go ahead and work with it for a day or two, see if it's okay. We have a short number of days that we can revert it back to Windows 10 if we choose to. But you're going to have to go there at some point. So he he agreed with that. He said, okay, I'll try it out. The next time I talked to him, I think it was the next day, and Jim, you haven't heard this, is he said, well, it's okay, it's working fine, but the wallpaper is terrible. I like that nice, pretty wallpaper that was changing on Windows 10. This thing just is all in my face, and this would have been the blue flower kind of image of Windows 11. Did not like that at all. So I connected remote and changed it to the only thing that was there in Windows 11 to change to that was okay was a beach type scenery that has like 4 or 5 different versions of it that would switch to. So I set that up. But then if you go to the lock screen, I think it does still have that those really nice images that showed up in Windows 10 on the lock screen. So because I could do that remotely, and I believe I checked on that, and they were still there just fine. But I don't think he ever uses the lock screen. I think all he was referring to was the wallpaper on the desktop. So
well, those lock screens that you see, I have to believe are actually being downloaded in the background.
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, and they update, and they have the links. Do you want to see more? So you can click on to get more information about this image. And I've looked at them a couple times. And of course, every time you do that, Microsoft is making money through Bing because it's gone to something. Oh, Ken's there. Hello, Ken.
Your video and audio on YouTube is 1980s MTV.
What?
I'll send you a video when this is over. I'm recording it to show you what's going on. It's just you can't watch YouTube hardly at all.
Are you telling me my video's not coming over okay on YouTube?
Pretty much.
The video is, the audio seems to be screwy, I guess. I'm not, let me go mute myself and listen.
All right. All right. So I
About
guess
4 or 5 people. The only reason I'm letting you know, someone said, hey, someone on Zoom, let him know. So I'll send you this clip when it's done.
All right. All right. So yeah, I've been checking in with chat a few times, and I hadn't been seeing anything along that. There's Selden says audio has failed in video 2. Circle 31 degrees. Okay, so that hasn't been going on all the time. That just happened since the time when I threatened to shut this session down. So this is YouTube saying, you promised you were going to shut it down. Why don't you go ahead and shut down? Buffering.
Sounds what I listened to sounded fine to me.
Yeah, that's fine to me. Sync is not perfect, but that's YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube could be having an issue for all we know.
All right. Stream buffering, 480p, pixelated. Yeah. Lawn Dog. My YouTube stream is perfect. Actually watching on a fairly fancy computer. Give me a minute. I'll look up the bit rate. I see no issues to complain about. Yes?
I refreshed the website and it's clear now.
Okay, so those of you who are still seeing problems, try refreshing your browser.
Yeah, there has to be something else going on because, as I said, the little bit that I muted myself and I listened to it, it seems to be fine to me.
All right. Well, I caught up with the chat there. You saw me going through it, reading those. So let's go ahead and end this. So those of you in Zoom, you're on screen right now. Would you say goodbye to the audience for me?
Good night, John Boy.
Bye-bye, everybody.
There you go.
Goodbye, all.
See you later.
Goodbye to the audience for you.
I will say some people in Zoom are watching at 480. That's a problem. I mean, in YouTube. I'm watching it 10.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I refreshed, set it up. I set it on each individual one. Jug, I'll send you the video. You'll see it. It was horrible.
Okay.
What do you got? 1080 or 480?
I went down the line, Gary. I started at 1080 and dropped it. It made no difference.
I'm fine at 1080.
So Ken, you're sending me a video that you actually recorded from your computer.
When it started messing up, I turned on OBS and I started to record it.
Okay.
I'll send it. I'll only send
Okay.
it to you. It won't go anywhere else.
Okay, very good. Very good. All right, I'm going to shut down Zoom. Thank you, everybody, for being here in Zoom. And clicking end in 3, 2, 1, 0, click. or end meeting. And then there's my email address if you'd like to send me something that you got a topic that you like, that you think would make a good video for me to deal with, or connect remotely to your computer to help with something. Those are the kinds of emails that I am welcoming. And then Ken says, passed right over the 3 I used. I don't know what, oh, 3 question marks. He says I passed over the 3 question marks that he used. Oh, he says looks good now. Oh well. All right. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Hope that was useful, everybody. Catch you later. Goodbye.